You see my cat in the back. She's making a guest appearance. Welcome back to the Misadventures podcast. I wish we can record what you do during our countdown because it is hilarious. Maybe one of these days I'll be fancy and throw that
I
in there when you don't
almost
know.
missed my stopping point.
Okay,
I just got a little too into it.
It's okay because we have reason to party. First of all, you got bangs. I noticed the hair change. Look at that. Bangs really, I like them a lot.
I did it to myself. I'll know in a week whether I am for Joe's like, do you like it? Does he feel good about it? You're just like, I'll know in a week whether I'm down because I do this every couple of years or so. It's like, yeah, bangs. Let's do it. And then about a week, I'm like, no, this is not the life I chose.
I really think that our listeners, and as a woman, we've all done the bang thing, and either we absolutely love it or we're like, we cannot wait for them to grow out. I'm going with a crazy 80s big hairstyle today. And well, first of all, welcome back. I'm Paula.
Brittany Schulman.
Yay, I hope you guys know our names by now. And it is Brittany's birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Whoop, whoop.
Happy birthday, dear Brittany.
Whoop, whoop.
Happy birthday to you.
Thank you so much. 2020 has been a year. And I always love I love and hate that my birthday is in December.
Yeah.
Because, other people are lame and they want to get you the birthday present with the Christmas present. I'm like, no, they are two separate and distinct events. One is Jesus and one is me. And we both know who is more important. Jesus. So,
I was going to say Brittany.
But my birthday is separate and distinct. And even I've taught this to my daughter now because she's been asking since Thanksgiving, Mom, have you turned 38 yet? Mom, have you turned 38 yet? Not because she's concerned about my birthday, but because she knows Christmas is next. So two separate and distinct events in our household.
In order to get to the real prize,
this is the event I'm waiting for. I need to get past your event first. I'm like, that's right, baby, get past my event because it's my day. Whoop, 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 whoop. Yeah, so I could never be one of those people who's like, it's my birthday month because you have Christmas, New Year's, and my wedding anniversary. I like to do everything at one time.
Baby Jesus' his birthday month. Okay. Sorry, December babies.
So, but it's been 20 years. I was just doing that. The year is 2020. I'm a numbers girl, apparently. So when it comes to statistics, hopefully by now I'm done with it. But no, so it's the year is 2020, and it's been 20 years since I turned 18. And that got me feeling really nostalgic. I was like, it's that's such a 38's really not a milestone birthday year. You think 40 is the milestone birthday, 21, 18, like all of those are milestones. So 38's like, meh. But thinking back it's been 20 years since I became an actual adult. I'm not going to say full-fledged adult because I don't think I'm there yet.
When does that happen?
I don't know when that happens, but I don't think I'm there yet.
When does it happen? Let us know in the comments.
Yeah. So one of the things in the blog, you can go to check out BrittanySchulman.com, and I wrote about the things I would tell my 20-year-old self. And I actually put it up on Facebook because, again, feeling very nostalgic and just thinking about it is like, what would I tell my 18-year-old self 20 years out from that point in time? And it's not necessarily that I want to bash my 18-year-old self and go, girl, get your life together. It's because, no, you're 18. You're not supposed to have your life together. And every single moment that I've had, everything that I've been part of has led me to this moment. I actually really like who I am right in this body, in this space, in this time. So I don't necessarily want to negate everything it took to get here, but I did want to think about some of the things I would tell myself at 18, or, little pieces of advice that me as a 18-year-old know-it-all
Yeah,
would
you could
probably
tell me
either go,
anything.
oh, that makes sense, or whatever, old person, you don't know what you're talking about, because we all have that. We all have that. So that is our subject for today. We kind of dove through and picked 5 things we would tell our 18-year-old selves.
Yeah. And let me just preface this by saying, as before we dive into that, I've been thinking about that post ever since you posted it, and I started just writing down these things because not only some of the things like I'm proud of you, we got to this moment, are still some of the things that I need to hear now at this moment. So like I started writing down, and our homework was to do 5, and I did like 11. So we had to catch
Well,
them up.
if you go to the blog, there are 20, but I don't really go into why I wanted those to be. So I've kind of picked 5 from the blog to say, and this is why. This would be my bit of advice to my 18-year-old self. So my first, listen to your mother. She is usually right. And I could probably count on 1 or 2 fingers advice that I've got from my mom that was like, that doesn't apply. It doesn't make sense. It's not applicable to the situation, or it was bad advice. I can't really think of any of that. My mom's pretty wise. And it's also, this is why I said my 18-year-old self would roll my eyes at this point, because by the time I graduated, she was my age, because my mom was really super young when I was born. So looking back, she was at this point in her life when I was 18. So I definitely would have rolled my eyes, but she has been really, anytime I have any questions, especially now, and we've been adults together, or at least as I've been an adult in her life, it's been that friend relationship has developed. Like you have your relationship with your parents where it's your parents taking care of you, and then you have your relationship with your parents where they're responsible for you, and you have your relationship as an adult, if you and them live that long, that you can actually become friends. And yeah, so I've become really good friends with my mom, and I can genuinely say at every age of my life, any advice she's given me has always been pretty doggone good, whether I listened or not. So that is my number 1 piece of advice I would give to my 18-year-old self.
That's a good one. My number 1 thing is it's gonna be okay, and even if it's not, you can handle it, and then it will be okay.
That's
So
good.
there's times when, and as a person, I literally wear my heart on my sleeve. Like I might as well have just a big beating heart right here. And I was just thinking, like, oh my gosh, sometimes it just doesn't feel like it's gonna be okay. And when you're 18, everything is a world collapsing
Right.
epiphany, right? It's like everything's dramatic. Well, I kind of still am like that, but that's okay. I know this now. And that sometimes I feel like when I was that age, at that point in my life, everything was just so earth-shattering, dramatic. And I didn't know if I could handle it because you're going through a lot when you're 18. You couldn't pay me to do it again. Um, and it's interesting because like now I'm like, okay, well, you can handle it. And if it's not okay right now, you can handle it because you are great at that, and then it's going to be okay. So that was my first one. And that's really just it in a nutshell.
um the other one, the second piece of advice is, it's good to listen, but talk more. Talk to more people. And I remember as a kid, even as a young adult, being in places and spaces where I didn't necessarily take up the space. I was like, oh, I'm still a kid. They're elders. I need to listen. And yes, listening is important. Taking in that has been invaluable. And I've been in lots of places and spaces where I listened to my elders um, and gained that knowledge that they were sharing. But also, I have thoughts, ideas, and opinions, and they come out. Because literally, I will be in my car, not so much now since we don't go nowhere, or the shower or whatever. And I'm just having whole, full-fledged conversations about what is happening at the time. And that's really one of the reasons I leaned back into doing podcasts and even this channel, is that I need to, it's one thing as a storyteller, and I'm owning up into that. I've always known I was a storyteller. I am a traditional storyteller, but it's one thing as a storyteller to absorb the story, but it's another thing to start sharing it. And so that's one of the things I would tell my young self is take up your space and talk more. It's okay, and people will listen. And that's, yeah. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, we got some great listeners right now. Thank you so much for listening today. Okay, so my next one, we wrote them down. Oh my gosh, this is my favorite one. This is the one that I hit, and I was like, yes, she needs to know this. 18-year-old me when I can time travel and tell her. One of the greatest feelings in the world is overcoming fear. And we do it a lot. And when I say we, I mean like me, myself, and I, all of my personalities. We do it a lot. And so, like, a really quick story time. One of the I remember I was in well, first, the first one, I'll do two really quick. The first one was going to Peru and leaving the country by myself for the first time. It was my very first time on an airplane, and this was in 2009. So this was 11 years ago. It was my first time on an airplane, taking an international flight to a third world country, foreign country, not knowing the language, and going with a bunch of strangers. And I was so scared, but it was one of the greatest experiences of my life. Like, there's nothing that on that trip that I didn't learn, from the negative aspects of it to the positive aspects of it. And it was very life changing. And then just last summer in Hawaii, we were on a beach, and well, I'm a desert girl. We don't do oceans. And if I can't see the bottom of water, it's not my favorite. And we were at one of the black sand beaches on one of the rock things, and my heart was palpitating. I was legitimately so scared. And once I got into the water, and once we got as far as I could go, it just felt like relief. And jumping into the ocean and being part of that huge thing, it blows my mind every time I overcome a fear of mine. And that is even when I am confronting people, because confronting people, I don't confront people. We don't do that here, and confronting people and telling people how I feel, because on the other side of that, we talked about this rejection. On the other side of confronting someone or telling someone how I feel and how they're making me feel, on the other side of that is the fear of rejection. So overcoming fear, we do it a lot. And once you do that, you're just so proud of yourself and excited. So go you.
uh, my next bit of advice to my 18-year-old self is trying different things doesn't change your identity. So I was always leery of, I was very much, in my younger years, very much a traditionalist. Like, no, things have a way of being and they're supposed to be that way. And that's it. It doesn't change and you shouldn't change. But I've really leaned into change because we'll talk a little bit more about that. It's 2020's taught us nothing. It's that things will change. things will change. Whether you change or not, things are going to change. So,
Sometimes without warning.
I've got a whole drag race happening. It's amazing. So you shouldn't be afraid to try new things, because at the end of the day, what doesn't change or what is who you are as a person. And that if you as a person are, if you feel very grounded in who you are, then trying something different, going out and having a new experience, like going to Peru. Fun fact, my first flight was to Albuquerque. Who knew? Who knew I'd end up here in the land of entrapment?
And she moved. It really was a land of entrapment.
Yeah. And that was I still in college? It was either like 2005, 6, 7, 8, somewhere in there. So not far off from yours.
For the powwow?
No, I came for a summer program at Institute of American Indian Art.
Oh, I just stereotyped you.
No, I came back again another time for a gathering, but yeah. I wasn't one of the ones that got stuck sleeping on a cousin's couch. We
missed that this year, guys.
But yeah, so sometimes I would be scared to try something new because it was like, but that's not who I am. It was like, it's not that deep, sis. Trying new food, which I've never been afraid of trying new food, but switching up a plan or going rock climbing or whatever it is, it doesn't change your identity. It's you're exploring. You're at a place at 18, 19, in their early years of really exploring who you are and what makes you you, and going into and making friends in different communities. Now's the time, man. It's a whole new brave new world. And that's, well, maybe not actually in person at the moment because it's still COVID, but trying, my whole point is it doesn't change who you are. So if you are a hardcore bleeding heart liberal, checking out and listening to and going to something that is more conservative, it doesn't change that you're a bleeding heart liberal. It just actually broadens your perspective and lets you know that there are other people out there, so that's really the point, is that trying different things, going out, exploring, maybe not now because it's COVID, it doesn't change your identity. So you're not betraying your people. You're not being something that you're not even being inauthentic. So like, it's, you could do all the things. If you're into anime, be into anime. It's cool. Yeah.
2020, man. I think there's nothing else that this year has taught us. It's these 5 things, or reminded us, I think. Zoom is a thing. Zoom dates are a thing. So don't let no one tell you that they can't meet you on video first. Okay. Speaking of dating, therapy will change your life. There are a lot, like, I don't think I would shame my 18-year-old for not going to therapy because she didn't know that she had issues.
Or even that it's an option. Therapy is something white people do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just the way that where I'm living right now is where I kind of grew up, and this is where I was when I was 18, and the options of, we've already discussed this on our channel at length, and we're going to continue to discuss this because I think that our journey in therapy and trauma and all of that has brought us to this podcast. And we felt, when we were first deciding on this, we were really thinking about, what do other Native women need to hear? What kind of conversations are we going to have on our podcast that Native women need to hear? Therapy will change your life. And that's what I want to tell my 18-year-old bleeding heart self, is that there are options. that it is a possibility, because that back then, I was so busy being 18 and doing teenager stuff. And I would tell her, like, start now, that you're going to go through several therapists. I've already have when I started when I was about 28 maybe. And that it'll change your life, and that you don't have to operate the way that you are operating, and that you can become aware of some of the things that did happen to you that are weighing so heavy on your heart, and the way that you are navigating the world. And therapy will change that for you, and it'll just take so much pressure off of you. And you're wonderful as you are as a human. Therapy will just make that wonderful so much better.
Yeah, therapy
Don't
is
cry,
not, and
don't
I
cry,
just want to add this because also
don't
someone who's
cry.
been to therapy, um, therapy will help you have another way of coping with these things that happen to us and around us. Therapy is not just for people who are broken. It's not a shame thing, and it's not. I think we should talk more openly and honestly, and I wish people would, about our mental health and how, particularly if you're looking at the structures of our society and you're looking at colonialism, if you're looking at racism and you're looking at these structures, it's, my mom used to say, it's amazing that we can stand up upright and walk sometimes. And that has less to do with us as individuals and more to do with sometimes the coping skills that we need, the way of reframing some of the ways our little inner bully will talk to us, or those of us who don't have an inner bully, why ain't it there? So therapy is a tool, and it's an important tool, um especially if you're a person, period. And yes,
And
I
you're
second,
right.
therapy will change your life.
That's why I kind of said, like, my 18-year-old self, you're wonderful as you are.
Mhm.
This is just going to hand you a toolkit in navigating some of the harder stuff in your life, and
Mhm.
puzzling together some of the harder stuff that you've already had, right? And then that we already touched on this in our last podcast, some of that trauma that we are picking apart in our therapy sessions, or when we go to therapy, or when we're even just feeling it on a day-to-day basis,
Mhm.
isn't our trauma. It's passed down through generations. So that is just, you just get a little toolkit with your therapist, and that's what helps you just be, I feel like, at peace sometimes. So yeah.
Yeah, and finding one that worked, because I had a bad experience once, and I was like, this is not for me. No, thank you. It's no. That just wasn't my person. That just wasn't someone I felt comfortable with, and it wasn't someone who. Now my second therapist, I was like, oh my gosh, this is what therapy is. This is why it works, and this is, oh, okay. This is much better.
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
yeah, I totally second that. And on that note, speaking of therapy, my next one is work out, girl. Work out. Not work out your body, but also your mind and your heart. Work out all the things. So um, I know that it sounds so funny that you would tell your 18-year-old self when you're at the height of your good, I did not gain the freshman 15. I lost the freshman 15. I was girl, I was looking good. I really was working out. So that's what the funny thing is. I tell myself to work out when I was working out. But it's not just about, working out your body. It's also working out your mind. This year, I have read so many books. I actually, when I finished college, I was so hurt and drained that I didn't want to pick up another book. I didn't want to read another novel, and I didn't for a very, very long time. I did not read for pleasure because it was so stressful coming out of college, and particularly because my degree's in English, there are a lot of novels I read there was a lot of stuff. So I this year have really leaned into reading more and reading more for pleasure and reading more nonfiction and reading more fiction. So uh really working out your body, your mind, reading all the things you can read, learning new skills, learning new things. Those are all learning another language, working out your body, which is this. And I think again, this year has been one that I've actually picked up a good routine in exercising and making sure that I move my body, because it's very easy if you're the kind of you're a brain worker, which or someone that uses their mind a lot, to you know what I mean. So like some jobs are repetitive because you move things, some jobs are repetitive because you're using your thinking cap and all that. It's very tiring and it's very easy to get kind of stuck at sitting at a desk. So I've really implemented some get up, move, work out with the kids, because they're watching. My kids are always watching. And then work out your heart so that, you're also building your little empathy muscle inside. So, and that really, yeah, building that empathy muscle, making sure that you're hearing and listening to other people and their story. Go back to listening, and you're paying attention to what's happening around you, because it is very easy to become very insular. And because I tend to go into my shell, and I am an introvert, sometimes it's easy for me to not really be paying attention to what's around me or what other people are having or what they need. So work that out too. So I would definitely tell my 18-year-old self, work out, work out, work your
I
body out.
of this oh gosh, don't get me started. Just kidding. Let's make a TikTok right now. Just kidding. No, that empathy, I think, with just to kind of jump off of that, empathy for yourself, that heart muscle. Like, I feel like I am so graceful to other people. And then when it comes to me, it's like, nope, you don't get any, cut no slack for you. So just a little thing like that. And I'm gonna go into my last two, and then Brittany's gonna end it with a bang. Well, just a really quick note. These are in no particular order. They're not any significant in our order. We just kind of were writing them down and thought we would say what we got to say. And so these next two ones are kind of funny, and they're kind of like, in my mind, like one of them's a little naughty, so it's because that's what it made me think of it. So if you want to skip ahead, um spoiler alerts, no, I'm just kidding. So breathe and have fun, right? Breathe and have fun. And so the reason that I put this is because sometimes I can be so much in my head about stuff, and I forget to enjoy the whole moment. I forget to enjoy things, right? That I'm thinking so hard. Like, if I'm going on a date for the first time, I forget to enjoy myself because I'm in my mind like, oh my gosh, this isn't what's going to happen. How do I look? Blah, blah, blah. And I forget to breathe and have fun. And in the other department is like, I'm so worried about how I look to others, that I'm forgetting that we're just having fun together. Right? I'm kind of afraid to go into the salacious part of what sparked this,
Do you
but
want to just call it for what it is?
I will. My
Okay.
therapist, I want to say this because my therapist does it. She said, "Oh, honey, when you when you're having relations with someone and you guys are getting naughty, um,
Sex. You're having sex. Let's just call it what it
I don't
is.
want to say it.
We're not tiptoeing
Sorry.
around it. Jump in the
Yeah,
pool.
I'm already not taking my own advice. Breathe and have fun. So when you are having sex,
Yeah.
no, my therapist actually did say this to me one time because I was talking to her about my insecurities and kind of, he doesn't care. He doesn't see your insecurities. He wouldn't be there if he didn't like what he saw. So breathe and freaking have fun. You're naked, he's naked. You both are having fun. So breathe and have fun. be in the moment. It is okay. He wouldn't be there if he didn't want to be. So, girl, get your
Enjoy
fun on.
yourself.
So
Yeah,
basically,
I remind myself as a married woman, I remind myself of that because your body is different after having children, and part of working out for me, one of the things I wanted to destigmatize for myself is that I was working towards a goal. No, I just want to work to move so that I can keep moving. But you look in the mirror and you go, it won't like that when we got together. And I actually literally said to my husband one time, I was like, I'm so sorry I look so bad. He's like, babe, you're beautiful. I was like, oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. He's not just here because, I am gorgeous, because I am gorgeous.
yeah, they're happy to be a part of it.
Yeah. And so it's not, it is sometimes, particularly if you're coming from and I did from a very, you only do sex during marriage and that's it. The mindset that you need for that is we cut things off and we're like, no, no, no. So when you actually are in that space of being married, being able to be more free, once you've taught yourself, no, I can't be free, when you get in the place where, oh, I can be free, it's like, I don't want to be. So it took me actually a really long time um, to be free and realize and recognize that my relationship with my husband, while it is it's spiritual and it's emotional, it's also sexual. And that's important. And that's it, because I remember it was in high school. Speaking of 18-year-old me, I was in high school and that was a question we were talking about, was if you were married and the sex was bad, would you get a divorce? I don't even remember how we got on this subject as high school kids. And my teacher, who was a good Christian man, said, yeah, I could see that being a thing. I was like, wait a minute. Number one, why are you in our conversation, old man? And number two, no, there's books. There's lots of things you could do. But if it's a mindset thing, there ain't a lot of books, I mean, you could Karma Sutra all day long, but if you still don't feel yourself, and if you're not embodying how that this is our moment together, and if you're not breathing and having fun, then you could throw your leg any way you want to, twist your body, you won't necessarily have fun, because I think a lot of times for women it is still a mental thing. There's still a lot of things that happen in our head that aren't necessarily about our bodies, or that we have to get our head space right to get our body space right. Does
Right.
that make sense?
Yeah, and
I'm sorry.
also if he's pointing those things out while you guys are together in any way, shape, or form, run for the
Yeah.
hills. Run.
No, yeah, because yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah. that's yeah.
I feel like such a
No one tears you down as much as your own head does, at least for me, speaking for myself. No one's ever like the thing or whatever it was, the flaw or whatever it was that I felt it was, no one has ever like been like, and another, because I'm like, oh, this is completely, and we're going to move over here for a second, and then I'll come right back. Which is, I put that post up about perfection. Like you don't need to wait for perfection. You can do it now. There's a typo in my meme. I saw the typo. And I said, you know what? I'm following my own advice. And I was like, hit sit anyway. No one pointed out the typo. And I have grammar Nazis on my Instagram. So I know there were people who saw that and was like, oh.
Yeah, I didn't.
Or they didn't. And it was all in my head. So there was
it at all and they don't like it.
All right. Now I'm back.
Back to this. But yeah, no, okay. Yeah, breathe and have fun, and that's on everything. Just breathe and have fun, get out of your head, just try to enjoy the moment. And like she said earlier, it ain't that deep, sister. It is not that deep. Um so this is my last one, and she's gonna wrap everything up, and this is my favorite. Or well, They're all my favorites. They're my top 5. Anyways, bushy eyebrows are back in. Leave them alone. Stop plucking them, please. You don't have to have skinny eyebrows. Bushy eyebrows are sexy now.
What's funny about that is bell bottoms are back. Those were my jam in high school. I loved wearing, and they weren't called bell bottoms. They're first. Because what would be hilarious was that's the thing I would wear in high school. I'd have my little flare with my little sweater vest, and my little pop my collar. I was super cute. I thought I was anyway. And my mom looked at my outfit. She said, "I totally wore that in high school." And now it's back. I'm like, I am so interested to see how it's going to iterate as my kids get older. The trends and everything, how they move around, because that's trends are trends, and they go in and they come out and they go up and they go down, and it's okay. You could try out the trend, but it doesn't change your identity. But you may want to not get to a place you can't come back from the trend.
Eyebrows don't come back from the trend. I'm just putting that out there because
there are actually a lot of Hollywood actresses in the 30s and 40s who did the whole shaved their eyebrows completely off for Hollywood, and then they would never ever grow back. They never grew back, and so even as it moved into the more natural look of the 50s and 60s, it was like, no, these are just what it is. Yeah, it's hilarious.
So just think about that. Next time you want to do a trend that's kind of semi-permanent. I mean, I have eyebrows under here, but
we've done makeup in Mando, and if you haven't, you can check it out. You can see what they look like, because they are super cute. Your eyebrows are cute.
You've seen my eyebrows. They used to be bushier, but yeah. So there's that. Very much for coming to my TED Talk about eyebrows. Talk about eyebrows.
My last one, and it's actually 2 put together, but it's I'm just going to say the short one, which is the only constant is change. And if 2020's taught us nothing, even if you don't want to change, change will happen. Change will happen around you. Change will happen with you. Change will happen within you. And that's the thing to cling to. The thing to cling to is that, change is going to happen. And it's okay. It's absolutely okay, because, which is my other one, is you will transform many, many times. And I feel like this year for me has been another iteration, if you will, of Brittany, like 4.0. I feel like I had a transformation at 18. Like there was this, okay, I'm an adult, and there was just kind of growth period that happened. And then in my mid 20s, there was this growth period that happened. And then in my early 30s, or even maybe late 20s, early 30s, there was a huge growth piece that happened. And right now, I feel like, as horrible as this year has been, as much as this year has sucked balls, I mean, this year has sucked. It's not, I've not been able to give my children the birthdays I wanted to give them. I've not been able to see my family the way I've wanted to see them. We've had people who have passed that we know in our family. This year sucked balls. I'm just going to be blunt and honest about it. It's been horrible. This has also been one of the years that I can say, I can like just look at it, feel it, and know that there's been a huge shift and change. And I don't just feel it in myself and outside of myself. It's like, I was talking to my mom and called it's like a universe shift. It's like these things have been happening. Like all of these pieces have been moving. I mean, racism didn't just start. It's all been moving. Sexism didn't just start. It's all been there. And there's been like this universal shift of, yes, it's here, but we want to do things different. But it's not just we want to do things different for the sake of looking like we're doing things different. And no, we're actually going to fundamentally change. And that's what I'm seeing with a lot of different folks is that we see that the system sucks and the system is rigged against us. And I used to be one of those people who truly believed, well, just get in that system. And if you're there, just you being there will create change. And no, that's not it at all. Or and if you're in the system, you can start picking it apart and you can make change. And I'm now at the place where I'm going, no, I see this system. It's not working. I'm not using that system anymore. I'm creating my own system over here. So that's really truly where I am with 2020 in general, and where I am with this birthday, with this year, is that change is happening, and I see it happening, and I feel it happening, and there is this huge shift. Are you feeling this too, or am I just talking crazy?
I think, yeah, I mean, definitely. There are just a lot of things this year that I was just talking to someone about this the other night. And the fact that this year, there were so many things that I let go of that just were not important. They just were not important anymore. They went out the window. I feel like I literally, and this might be for the whole world, that I stepped out of a rat race. That I stepped out. I had this trajectory, and I've been on this trajectory so long. I've been burning myself out up to this point, and it just wasn't important anymore. And
Yeah.
what was important for me this year completely shifted. And it really wasn't that deep for me anymore. And that was really hard for me because a lot of those things I did work hard for and I did put a lot of time and energy into. And we've already been through this discussion about putting our time and energy into something. It's not wasted time. I would not be where I am right now in this place where I can create if it weren't for that energy and time I put into those certain aspects. But it kind of shifted to the point where I need to start putting time into me and what I want to do with my life. Like, really, what I want to do with my life. Do I want to continuously stay over here and continuously work for the man and be part of that cycle? Or do
Yeah.
I want to, again, like Brittany said, step out of it and create our own systems and create our own businesses and be these powerful Native women who are creating better systems for our people? And that's what I wanted to do. So,
Yeah.
yeah, there was a major shift in priorities this year.
And with that, I hope you enjoyed our top 5 things we would tell our 18-year-old selves. Do you have any top 5 things? Do you have something you would tell your 18-year-old self? If you do, just comment below. Let us know. I'm looking forward to learning what you would want to tell yourself, and maybe even why. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Yep, you can find me. Oh gosh, I do this every time. So you can find me here, Instagram, Facebook, Paula Marie Herbert.
There it
Um,
is. That's Brittany Schulman.
do we have any? Is there anything else that we want to show them before we leave?
I don't think so.
Oh,
It's not in my notes unless it's something else. Don't forget, guys, if you think native humor is something else, if you need a new mug in your life, go to Brittany as soon as she finds the camera, BrittanySchulman.com/merch. Use the code Queen Bee, all together, and you can get 20% off. That's the blue. This is the red. Because, we're something else.
or something else. Have a wonderful week.
Bye.
Bye.